got hat hair. I have a mailing address now, by the way. Yeah, it's this. This is the mailing address. You guys send me your fan mail, packages, whatever, and I'll open it on stream. I think that's pretty fun. You guys have been asking me for years to get a PO box, and I do. So send me your mail. Send me your fan mail. I'll open it up live on stream and we can go through it together. I think that'll be fun. Also, I'm gonna be doing a competition with these things here, with these Make Goth Great Again hats. I'm not a hat guy, as you can probably tell. I wanna see you guys customize these hats, posting pictures of them, right? Spikes, studs, you can knit on these things, like sew some stuff into it, patches. I wanna see you guys customize these, and the best customization you win something. You win something. So, anyway, listen. Here's what's about to happen to Goth, okay? I'm gonna give you a play-by-play of exactly how this is gonna go down, what is going to happen with Goth and alternative subcultures over the next couple of years. I'm gonna explain step by step what is going to happen. So listen! There's a strong, undeniable uprising, a revolution, if you will, happening with alternative subcultures at the moment. Ultimately, this will lead to the subcultures being non-partisan again, apolitical. But until that happens, before we amputate the gangrenous arm that is likely going to take us with it through septic infection, we have to tie it off with a tourniquet. Subcultures will splinter. That's actually step one. The subcultures are going to splinter. You see, the assumption was, slowly but surely, we are going to replace, great replacement theory, but applied to Goth here. We are going to replace these ideological, sanctimonious with people who are far more mature, far more open-minded, far more interested in the actual core values of these subcultures, but that's not so. That's not how this is going to work. At first, the subcultures will be fractured. Examples of this exist already. There is my Discord, for example, which is growing in the hundreds by the week. There is nearly 2,000 people in there. That's quite a considerable Discord. And these people are very open-minded, very civil. They know how to disagree with each other. They know how to debate respectfully, but most importantly, they love sharing in the things that they have in common with one another. It's a very peaceful place to be. So please consider joining the Discord. The link is down below. If you are on iOS, because it is age restricted, you're going to have some trouble getting into it unless you're using desktop. Android users, you're fine. You don't have to worry at all. Except maybe people figuring out that you have an Android phone. There's also various Facebook groups as well out there that are insisting that we keep politics out of their forums. We keep political opinions and moral purity away from things like music-based and fashion-based subcultures. As I've written here, there will be a notable increase in free-thinking spaces for alternative people. Spaces where political conversations are regulated or discouraged entirely, where the core values of the subculture are honored and respected, like they used to be in forums of yore. You remember Vampire Freaks? MySpace? You should. If you don't, then you're likely not going to be able to get into my Discord server. Anyway, back in those days, there would be an audible groan if anyone tried to bring up politics, because politics was boring, man. The great divider was politics. You wanted to have a rip-roaring good time talking about your favorite shit bands? You want to talk about your favorite new corset or clothing brands that you found, or a movie that made you so scared you shat through your couch? I'm talking about horror movies. If you don't think horror movies are an inspiration for Gothic subculture, you're ignorant. There used to be an audible groan, a measurable sense of disdain, exasperation for people who tried to bring up political conversations. Even the most docile of folks would be whipped up into a frenzy if politics were brought up, especially if they were contradictory to their ideologies, and then everything would just fall to pieces, right? The peaceful serenity of the subculture, of the status quo of the forums would degrade into a screaming and shouting match, which is ultimately what happened, right? That's happened. I think we can all agree that's what's happened. The same way that whenever we were skating in the skate parks in the late 90s and the early 2000s, we were insisting on keeping out the super annoying scooter kids, keeping them out of the skate park because they were a hazard to themselves and to us. And then the second we all grew up and we got jobs and kids and careers and all sorts of other responsibilities, you go to a skate park now, it's just flooded with scooter kids. The second we were no longer there to maintain order, chaos ensued. It's the same thing that's happening in the subculture. We grew up. We grew up and we matured. We got families and jobs and careers and things to do, man. Mortgage. In the absence of our far more mature thinking, a far more pragmatic, civil approach to maintaining subcultures, these ideological children have now flooded these forums and turned it into a political playground that they can kick out any of the other kids, any of the older folk who naturally gravitate towards more conservative ideologies. The further left the left becomes as time goes on, which is natural for progressivism. It's never going to maintain the exact same of progressivism the entire time. It's going to degrade. That's why everyone feels like the left has gone far too far and left. Naturally, that is what it was going to do. This was not what we wanted with subcultural conversation. So it was always regulated to specific forums or threads to keep it separate. But that's not how it is anymore. Now it's the opposite. Now they're inexorably linked. Now the splintering will originally happen. The splintering initially happens because of people like myself and various other cancelled, notable people within the subculture. They will have to go through a trial of fire, thrown into the abyss by their very brethren, to reference my own Soul Reaver tattoo that you can see poking out through my shirt here. We have to lose everything. We have to be ostracized, lose our support networks, our friends, in some cases, wives. We have to lose our safe spaces. We have to lose our careers. We have to lose financial stability. You have to lose everything. The initial individuals responsible for creating these safe spaces in the first place are going to be the ones who were the most savagely destroyed, eaten alive in front of everyone to make an example out of us. These are the ones that are ultimately, ironically, going to become the biggest enemies, the biggest free-thinking, free-willed thorn in the side of these ideological morons. Oh, if only you'd played nice, then none of this would be happening. People like myself, people like Brian, Graupner, I think is his name, people like us are going to be responsible. After going through the acid bath, we are going to be responsible for cultivating these new spaces where people are allowed to congregate and speak freely, because we want to make sure, through the trauma, we want to make sure that what happened to us never happens to anybody else again. Because deep down, in fact not even that deep, it's right on the surface, we're actually nice people. You see, what we want is just to coexist and share in some common interests. If we happen to have differing political opinions, what does it matter? It matters to those who are trying to exert a form of control, but ultimately it doesn't actually matter. What we're trying to do by creating these safe spaces, these legitimately provable safe spaces, is by making sure no kid that is just getting into the alternative subculture, and by kid I mean 18 plus, no kid, no early 20-year-old, no millennial actually, in their 30s and 40s, will ever be so publicly flogged by these self-righteous ideologues. That'll never happen again. The trauma is too great for others to bear. We can do that. That's fine. We're strong, we're big boys. We're big boys. We are going to be the ones responsible for creating these spaces in the first place. Which leads into step 2. The next step is these places that we create will exponentially, speaking of graphs here, exponential, this graph, will exponentially begin to fill with new people who feel the same. People who have had their own feelings of isolation from having to mask their personal beliefs in order to remain unmolested by the moral police of the left. This is why I've heavily criticized this authoritarian approach of no conservatives or MAGA allowed. It's because there's no way you can know this unless you're actively vetting and background checking every single member of these forums in the subculture. People will mask their true opinions in order to play with you all. They don't care that you think differently to them, but you care that they think differently to you. I'm talking to leftists here, not you. Not you guys. You guys are cool. That's why you're here. You guys are my bros, actually. We're best pals. Sounds ironic. It sounds disingenuous. I'm serious. This is what I was talking about, the projection. These people that are conservative, that have opposing values to those within the subculture, they're able to mask it and play ball anyway. They don't care. They just want to be immersed in the subculture. It's the leftists that care that these people might not agree with them or have differing opinions. Not even opposite opinions. A lesser degree of their extremist views actually is enough. This is where the left shows their true horrific intention, their true deep dark triad tendencies and evil in their projection. The left has never been so exposed by anything in their lives more than their projection. Yeah, we're intolerant of intolerance. We're going to keep our people safe from people who wish to harm them and wish that trans people and gay people would die. That's not how I wrote it down. I had to clean up the language a bit. Now, I don't really have anything about hurling slurs, okay? I don't really care. But TOS and all that, I don't want to hinder my message by being insistent on using words that do affect my visibility. This message was the great exposure of their entire collective thought. They equate disagreeing or having opposing beliefs as violence, because that's how they see it with us. They see conservatives, Republicans, whatever, anyone with a less than tribalistic dedication to the movement as enemies who deserve violence, and therefore project these very same standards on us. Ultimately, us on the conservative side, or us on the more moderate side, us on the I don't really like politics, can we just talk about the music or something side, we couldn't give a shit what or who they are on the left, okay? If you want to equate your entire identity as a political statement, then be my guest. Sounds like the kind of existence that would make you act like a cunt with a superiority complex. To be honest, alternative subcultures would have been the best place to escape to if they didn't want their identities to be politicized. But they brought that shit in themselves, and it seems disingenuous and reeks of an intention to control. This is notes. This is not Chat GPT. Okay, this is notes. It's right there. You see this? You think Chat GPT would be this based? I doubt it. What's the final step? Ultimately, where does this end up? The final step, the third and final step, the reformation of alternative subcultures. Ultimately, these new fledgling safe spaces where people are allowed to congregate and speak and think freely without exerting their opinions on others in order to create exclusivity. These fractured spaces, these new emerging spaces made by people like myself, like other people out there that are trying to create far less radicalized spaces for people in the alternative subcultures to exist, these will become the majority. And when that happens, those who are the performative narcissists in the left, the ones who are merely doing it because they want to appeal to the largest demographic, to stroke their egocentric, narcissistic tendencies, to being worshipped because of narcissism, these fakers will drop it. When the crowd isn't there anymore, when people aren't cheering for their morally reprehensible rhetoric, when no one's there anymore, they'll just get off the stage by themselves. They'll fuck off by themselves. When it's no longer working, they're going to do one of two things. They'll drop the act and fuck off, or they'll join us, because now we'll be the biggest demographic, and they're going to switch. They're gonna start using our rhetoric to get the same praise because their egos need the stroking, they need it. That's the third and final phase. The siphoning will be complete. Gaia will consume Earth, and Earth souls will fill the vessels on Gaia. This is a Final Fantasy IX plot point. I don't know why I'm bringing it up here. But this is how you defeat them, man. Not through debate, because they're not there, right? In a debate, they're either not going to debate you or they're just not going to listen. Through debates, they're not going to. We've already seen that they don't like to be debated. They don't like to be questioned. You take the crowd. You take the praise, the adoration. You take the ability to appeal to the largest demographic with their bullshit. They will take themselves out of the equation. They will remove themselves. That's the third and final phase of this. And then ultimately, Goth will just return to its roots. We are already approaching step 2. We are still in step 1. Now, I will link below some safe spaces that are popping up for people to be far more open-minded within, to express their interests in Goth without being persecuted for their political beliefs. Links will be down below. And also, my Discord's right there. There's one already. It's growing fast. I think it's probably around 2,000 people by now. That's a lot. It's very active. There's a lot of very intelligent people in there. You want to get smarter? You want to learn more? You want to be more informed? Join the Discord. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you next time.